Welcome back to the channel. This is the Action Figure Grader, and as usual, I like to show recent sales prices for vintage Star Wars action figures. Today, we're going to take a look at mint on card items, mainly from two sellers. Lee's Toy Review had some incredible early card backs that sold at auction, and the prices were pretty surprising. There were some good deals, though. And then also, AFA/CIB had some really nice gems that were already graded that sold. I've got a few others as well that surprised me on the upper end as well as the lower end. Prices are kind of all over the map right now, and condition is everything, as we always talk about. But I think that there are enough in here to give you guys a general idea from early card backs all the way through the Power of the Force and the Droids line, depending on what you're looking for. As always, thanks to my Patreon supporters, they get my videos 24 hours early. Patreon.com/actionfiguregrader is where you can go to sign up for as little as $1 a month. Let's go ahead and dig in. All right, so Lee's Toy Review, who used to have like a publication back in, I guess, the 1990s, for prices for different toys and things like that. Apparently, he also is a seller on eBay, 17,500 transactions. So, pretty trusted seller, and he had some beautiful 21 and 20 backs, and I believe also a 12 back for the Death Squad Commander that sold. The prices and the condition were all over the map, but I wanted to kind of go through them. This was an unpunched 21 back for Hammerhead. Beautiful example. Light creasing by the hang tab, and he always does a good job of showing the defects on the card. So it had some scuffs and very minor things. I still think this one probably gets an 80 grade overall pretty easily. $587 in an auction. I thought that was a really great price. Here was the Greedo. This one sold for $593, and again was a 21 back. Very clean condition, just some light scuffs and various issues, but nothing major. One little soft crease there. I think, again, that one also pretty easily gets an 80 grade. $593 on that one. Here was a 21 back Chewbacca, unpunched. All of these look like they've been really in great condition overall. Light crease in the upper right-hand corner for that one. $590 on that one. So good deals on many of these, and as we get into some of the other ones, you'll see that for harder to find examples of a particular figure on a particular card back, the prices escalated pretty quickly. So here was a 21 back. Yeah, this is the 20 back, I believe. 20 back for the the 20 back Luke Skywalker X-Wing with the Boba Fett offer sticker. So I don't know why it was labeled a 21 back, but this was a punched example with a price sticker, $860 on that one. Again, probably a low 80 grade, a little bit of curvature to the card, but overall pretty decent shape overall. And $860 to me is a price I'd pay for that. That's a great deal there. Here was that 12 back for the Death Squad Commander. Fairly pronounced crease in the upper right-hand corner. That probably precludes it from getting an 80 grade. This is probably a 75 plus based on that one crease alone. It's unfortunate, but when you have a big color-breaking crease like that, that's very pronounced on the front of the card back, it's going to bring down the overall score, I think, personally, to a 75. But beautiful clear blister. That one sold for $687, probably about right for the condition. Next up was the Power Droid. This was a 21 back. And again, very vibrant colors, very good shape, some light scuffing, as you can see by Greedo and the Stormtrooper on the back of the card. But wow, just some absolute gems. Now, this one looks like it might have had a heat overseal issue. I don't consider that to be a crease. Sometimes when those blisters were folded and heated, they had these little nips or little kind of over pinches especially on the stems. You don't see it as much on 20 and 21 backs, but when you started getting into Empire Strikes Back card backs, especially some of the later ones like 48 backs, those pinches around the seals and the stems happen pretty regularly. So I don't think it was noted as it did not note that it was a crack, and I don't consider that to be a crack at the bottom of the stem, but there's a close-up of it so you can see. You usually see it around the corners of the stem, but in this case it was at the very bottom of the stem, and that one probably gets you about an 80, a low 80 grade. That one sold for $575. Here was the Walrus Man. This one seemed to be in really great shape as well. Light scuffing to the back. Probably a 75 for the card score, given all the scuffing on the back of the card. But the rest of it looked to be pretty clean. The front of the card looks really nice. Usually when you have scuffing on the back of the card, it doesn't hurt you nearly as bad on the grading as if it's on the front of the card. I still think it gets a 75 for the card score, probably an 80 for the blister, 85 for the figure for an overall 80. $597 on that one. Pretty good deal there. Now, here are the exception, though. I thought for the most part, the rest of those were fairly good deals. These, I don't think, were particularly good deals, but they're probably fair prices given what they are. These are 20 backs, not 21 backs. These are 20 back Death Star droids. And you can see there, it's got the 20 back there. And not to be confused with the fairly common 21 back A. This is the 20 back. Very tough to find this one. This is actually the first time I've seen the 20 back Death Star droid. And I really wanted it, but I knew it was going to go for a lot of money. This one in the R5D 420 back that I'm going to show you in a second, they went for big money. $1,502 on this one, 20 back A, I assume, 20 back A. And, usually with the 20 backs, they all have the offers on it. But to get a true offerless 20 back, you're going to have to pay a lot of money, unfortunately. That's just the way it is. Death Star droid, $1,502. And then here was the R5D4, same card back, 20 back. Very tough to find, very high grade. This was a punched example. The Death Star droid was an unpunched example, but no price stickers on either one of them. $1,530 was the sales price on this one. And I watched it, and I was like, I don't have the money for it. I just don't have it. But this is, the first time I've seen true 20 back offerless card backs for two of my favorite characters, the R5D4 and the Death Star droid. Very, very high grade examples. 80 plus or 85s would be my guess on both of those. And over $1,500 was the winning bid price. Here was another one that kind of surprised me on the upper end of the scale in terms of the list price. I watched it. I was like, you know what? I sold off I had I think a 45 back 21B medical droid that was CAS 75 plus. And I sold it off when I needed some funds for a different item that I was trying to put the money together for. And I've always wanted to get another Empire Strikes Back 21B to replace it. This one got listed for $750, which was a CAS 80 41 back B. Not to be confused with the more common 41 back D. This was the 41B where the characters are in each separate boxes on the back of the card. A little bit tougher to find this one. You don't see this one pop up very regularly. 85, 80, 85 were the subscores, and overall 80 from CAS. Hudson's price sticker in the upper right. Unpunched example, though, and a clear blister. So I saw it get listed for $750, and I was like, yeah, that's too high. I'd maybe consider it like $600. Now, it did have a make an offer option, but this is further proof that never be afraid to make those low offers, okay? Because someone did offer $600, and the seller did accept it, and it had only been listed for a day or two. So $600 was the winning make an offer option on that one, even though it was listed for $750. So the seller was willing to come down on it. So to me, it was probably a mistake. Again, I didn't really have the money for it, but I was watching it because I did want to replace my 21B ESB card back. And he did come down quite a bit. $600 to me is a pretty fair price for the harder to find 41 back B, where, now I'm going to show you a 41 back D in a second, but this shows you the back of it where they each had their own individual squares. And then here is the 41 back D that was at auction from Collectibles Investment Brokerage, or AFA. Now, this was a yellowed 75, but that shows you the back of the card for the 41 back D versus the 41 back B. So I just wanted to educate you guys to the extent that you didn't know about these differences, but most of you probably do if you're watching my stupid channel. But this was the 41D 75 yellowed blister, 75, 80, 80. Now that one sold for $593, which to me, this one seems more common to me, the 41D for the 21B medical droid. And it was also a yellowed blister. So in my opinion, this one is looking like a better and better deal after that one ended on CIB. This was a clear blister, harder to find 41 back B 21B. and unpunched with a price sticker. This one was unpunched with no price sticker. Pick your poison there. Let me know in the comments which one you'd rather have. But to me, the 41B seems like a great deal for basically the same price. So congrats whoever made that offer. It's probably somebody I know, because most of you guys who collect this stuff watch my channel anyway. So great deal, I think, for the $600 on that one. That one, again, sold for $593. You know, I don't know if it's a fair deal, but that's what the market bears in an auction. Also, here was the 45-back AT-AT Commander, AT-AT Commander. This one was a yellowed 80 grade, straight 80s for the sub-score, unpunched, no price sticker. That one sold for $312, which is about what you would expect. This is a very common character card back combination. So, I was not expecting that one to go for very much money. $312 on that one. CIB also had this AFA 60. And this is for the R2-D2 on a 12-back C card back. And that one sold for $616. Again, probably about right. The card's score was a 75, blister 60. So it was probably a cracked blister of some sort. Let's see if we can take a look at it. You know, it had some issues in the upper upper right-hand corner. It also had some issues in the lower left-hand corner. So lots of dimpling on the blister there. If it wasn't cracked, then 60 seems a little harsh to me, but I'm assuming it was cracked to get a 60 score for the blister. Unpunched, no price sticker, but that's a very attractive budget-friendly price point for a 12-back. For those of you that are maybe on a tighter budget and you're trying to collect 12-backs, $616 seems like a pretty good deal for a clear blister 12-back C R2-D2. Here was a 20-back A Obi-Wan. This was an AFA 75. That one sold for $761. Pretty good deal there. And this is the same card back as the R5-D4 and the Death Star droid that Lee's Toy Review had, but this one was already graded AFA 75. $761 seems like a pretty good deal for a fairly decent score Ben Kenobi unpunched, no price sticker. That's a good deal. Next up, I thought this was another one that was a good deal. This was the 20-back A, same card back, unpunched, no price sticker, and this one was an AFA 80 plus. So 80, 80, 90 were the sub-scores on this one, and I thought that was a good deal at $800. In the back of my mind, you know, this is one I was toying with bidding on, but I just couldn't make it work. And in my mind, I was like, well, if it stays under $800 or $900, it would be very tempting to bid on it. And it did. It sold for $799. So, and that was a high grade, AFA 80 plus. So good deal on that one, whoever got that. This one surprised me on the upper end of the scale. This was an AFA 80 plus Tri-Logo FX7. Again, it was unpunched, which is a little tougher to find. It's harder to find unpunched Tri-Logos, in my opinion. That was a good deal. When I bought mine, that was a UKG 75. It was a punched example, and it was a good deal when I bought that one for $255. This one sold for $655. So that was a little shocked on that one, but it was unpunched, and it was also very high grade at AFA 80 plus. So $655 was way higher than I was expecting. I was expecting like $450 to $500 max, but it blew past that number and sold for $655. This one also blew past my expectations. I had this one in my what to buy video a week or two ago. This was an AFA 75 plus upside down Pat Blue on the Kenner Canada card back. Archival case, upside down figure, so it was labeled by AFA. So just a factory error where the figure was placed in upside down. So there you go. And this one sold in an auction for $1326. So way higher than I was expecting on that one. I was not expecting that one to go anywhere near that price. Maybe $800, $900. I mean, if this one had been a regular Pat Blue AFA 75 plus Kenner Canada card, maybe $300, $350 at the upper end, $400 for an AFA 75 plus. So someone is basically paying an extra $1,000 just because the figure was inserted upside down. Does it present really cool? Is it a very awesome kind of talking piece? Yes. Is it worth $1,300? I would argue it's probably not, but that's what it sold for. This is the made in Mexico, obviously, version of Pat Blue. It doesn't say that on the back of the card that I can see anywhere, but the figure, I believe, is made in Mexico, and, you know, it's just for the Canadian market. And this one, in all fairness, is the harder to find 77A Kenner Canada card. Most of these are 77Cs or 79Cs with the Emperor or the Anakin offer. I don't know which card back it is. I can't keep them all straight. And but in general, you don't see offerless Kenner Canada Ewoks very much, in my opinion. They're usually like the Anakin offer or the Emperor offer, maybe. I can't remember. But anyway, 1326, big number for a factory error. Here is another Ewok. This one is Lumat on the Power of the Force card back. Light yellowing, punched example. This one was graded AFA 75+. That one sold for $231, which is not a terrible deal. The figure did have some discoloration on the torso, if my cursor will work. There you go. You can see a little bit of discoloration to the torso on Lumat, but that's pretty common. My Tri-Logo has the same issue. I think they pretty much all will do that eventually, but the figure score got a 75, so 80, 85, 75. Pretty harsh for the final overall score of 75+, but that's what it is. Here is that Droids Tig From on the US Droids card back, unpunched, no price sticker. Now, this one was an AFA 75 clear blister, and we know what Tig From sells for loose, complete, ungraded. Almost this price. So I was really surprised on the lower side of things that this one sold so cheap. $660 for a mint on card Tig From is easily the lowest price I've seen in a while. Now, was it a lower score? Maybe, but it's still a 75. And we've seen AFA 80s and 85s for this go $900, $1,000, $1,100, maybe even high as $1,200. So $660.88 for the final winning price seems really low to me. I was expecting $800 to $900, and just surprised it sold so low. Maybe just because of the other auctions going on, but that was a surprise on the low end. And then finally, here is the Kenner Canada Droids R2-D2 pop-up. This one was graded AFA 85, unpunched, no price sticker. That one sold for $11.50. Another price that surprisingly is low. I've seen AFA 80s go for around this price, maybe a little lower. You know, you could argue maybe $900 to $1,000, but $11.50 for a true AFA 85, no cracks in the blister. That's a pretty decent deal. That's a pretty decent deal for a Kenner Canada foreign card back. So congratulations for those of you that maybe made some bids on these and won. Thanks as always for watching my channel, and I will be back soon.